Let's give our praises to the Most High, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, and the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders who taught us this truth by the Holy Spirit. Honors to the brothers risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect, which would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel, according to scripture and according to prophecy. But the elect would be 1/3 of the Israelites who will return back to the Most High during the last days, which is happening right now, to receive salvation, while the 2/3 of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High be destroyed in judgment. So we back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. This is going to be World War III update number 62. And I'm going to title it India and Pakistan at War. And America is in the middle. Yeah, India and Pakistan is at war. America is in the middle. And we're going to explain. But first, the wars have still been going on. America and Yemen, which would be the Houthis, they've been attacking each other directly for months now. Israel and Yemen, which are the Houthis, they've been attacking each other back to back. And you still getting attacks between Hamas and Israel and Hezbollah and Israel here and there. Still got the war between Russia and Ukraine going strong. But now you got a new war between Pakistan and India. And I didn't even know that those two countries were beefing. And come to find out that India and Pakistan are really the same people. They're the same nation of people, just two different countries. But they have beef. Now, what does that sound like? That sound like the Russians and the Ukrainians that's at war, but they literally the same people. North Korea, South Korea got beef, but they literally the same people. China and Taiwan, the same people got beef. But what do all them beefs got in common? You got America in the middle of it. The reason Ukraine and Russia is at war right now because of America. The reason tensions are high between China and Taiwan right now is because of America stirring all that up. The beef between South Korea and North Korea. America's in the middle of that. And usually, if America got beef with a country, like Russia, North Korea, China, you know what America go do? America, he's the guy that go make friends with your neighbor if he got beef with you. So he can inch step by step on your territory. But even here between India and Pakistan, come to find out, America is in the middle of that. Now, to get to what actually happened, we're going to get this link from the brother Kalab that he sent. And it says, breaking, India attacked Pakistan. More than 200 people were injured and 14 people were deleted. May 7th. So check this out. So yeah, India attacked Pakistan. And the reason India attacked Pakistan because just before, recently, like last week, India is claiming that Pakistan killed 26 people in India in a terrorist attack. So they claim. But come to find out, America was most likely involved in that terrorist attack. But we gonna get this first video. He gonna say a few things, so we gonna rewind them just to make sure we hear it loud and clear.
Tonight, India and Pakistan are trading blows in an alarming clash between the nuclear-armed nations that could spiral into a new open war.
He said a clash between two nuclear-armed nations. I knew India had nukes. I didn't know Pakistan had nukes. The same Pakistan that was getting bullied by America 25 years ago, like Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq. Pakistan got nukes.
Nuclear-armed nations that could spiral into blows in an alarming clash between the nuclear-armed nations that could spiral into a new open war. It escalated dramatically overnight, with India carrying out military strikes against at least 9 targets it described as terrorist infrastructure in Pakistani territory, and releasing these new images of the operation. India said it's a response to a terrorist attack last month that killed 26 tourists in the Indian-controlled part of Kashmir.
So India attacked Pakistan because they claim that Pakistan killed 26 people in a terrorist attack on territory that's controlled by India.
India quickly blamed Pakistan for the attack.
It was deemed essential that the perpetrators and planners of the 22nd April attack be brought to justice.
But the Pakistani government denies involvement and says its civilians were killed by an unprovoked act of war.
So Pakistan said they had nothing to do with that terrorist attack. And I believe them. Which, when I heard of the story of the terrorist attack, which caused India to respond and attack back, I said America had something to do with it.
Indian-controlled part of Kashmir. India quickly blamed Pakistan for the attack.
It was deemed essential that the perpetrators and planners of the 22nd April attack be brought to justice.
But the Pakistani government denies involvement and says its civilians were killed by an unprovoked act of war by India. Pakistan claims to have shot down 5 Indian fighter jets while they were attacking. The core of the issue is, and has long been, the region of Kashmir, which is partitioned. Each side claims all of the disputed region for itself. Tonight, President Trump is calling for de-escalation.
I know both very well, and I want to see them work it out. I want to see them stop.
Yeah, man. So there's a terrorist attack that happened to some Indians. India blames Pakistan. Pakistan said they didn't do it. And I just knew in the spirit that America had something to do with it. But then I was listening to the guy off-grid desert farming with Paul, and he pretty much confirmed my suspicion, because when you look at Esau the white man's formula and how he works, it only makes sense that he did the terrorist attack on them Indians to start a new war. So we're gonna listen to Paul speak, and we're gonna revisit some of them points.
Now, I want to bring you a little bit of history. This is the history of the last month with J.D. Vance. And you tell me if this is just a coincidence or not.
J.D. Vance is the vice president, I believe. So he's about to give you recent events involving J.D. Vance.
So J.D. Vance went to Greenland about a month ago. And they were trying to interview the people of Greenland nobody wanted to speak to J.D. Vance. They basically told him to leave. They told him that Greenland was not for sale. You cannot buy us. And J.D. Vance and his wife ended up going to the...
So J.D. Vance over there in Greenland, and the people over there didn't want nothing to do with him. But let's see where he went next. Then let's see where he went after that.
Base that we control on Greenland. That was the first thing. And then J.D. Vance, about a week ago, maybe a little bit longer, went to visit the Pope of Rome. And he was the last diplomat to shake the Pope's hand. And then the Pope died later that night. Okay. About a week ago or so, J.D. Vance, he went to India. And while he was in India, the so-called terrorists in Pakistan murdered 26 Hindu tourists in the Kashmir region.
So every time J.D. Vance goes somewhere, something bad happened. Pope's dying, terrorist attacks happening in India. But again, the terrorists, they died while J.D. Vance was there. Now, when he gives the reason why, America could have had some involvement in that terrorist attack, it makes perfect sense. When you look at Esau's history and the patterns of how he do stuff.
All these things occurred while J.D. Vance was in the proximity. Now, you have to understand how intelligence agencies work. What is destabilization? If you're not familiar with the BRICS organization, the BRICS organization is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. India and China are part of the BRICS organization, but China backs Pakistan.
So China and India are both part of BRICS. India just attacked Pakistan, which Pakistan will fall under China, their allies. So what he's about to say, that America could have possibly had some involvement in that terrorist attack to start a war between India and China, which are two founders of the BRICS alliance, which BRICS, they developed a currency to dethrone the US dollar. They pretty much coming up with a new world reserve currency. And America is trying to find a way to break that up. So he figured, America figured, they could probably start a war between Pakistan and India, which could grow into a war between India and Pakistan, and also India and China.
Did our CIA or some other Western intelligence agency murder the 26 Hindu tourists in Kashmir and blame it on Pakistan to divide and conquer and have India go to war with Pakistan, and then maybe even China would jump in, and then you would have a war between two BRICS countries? You have to understand how fifth generation warfare works. You have to understand the art of war, destabilization, where you send in a false flag operation, blame it on somebody else, and then you start a war, and then you sit back and you watch. Could this be what is happening? Because Pakistan says that they didn't have anything to do with these terrorists that killed the 26 Hindu tourists.
Yeah, so like you say, Pakistan said they had nothing to do with them tourists being killed. And I believe them. Because usually when somebody get at their enemy, they take pride in that. Like, yeah, I did that. So if Pakistan did it, I'm sure they would have admitted it to it. Now, that's no different than when the Twin Towers and the Pentagon got attacked in a terrorist attack on 9/11. America tried to blame Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden got on camera and said he didn't do it, but he wished he would have done it. So, nobody got no reason to lie. So, it only makes sense really that America did it when you look at the reasoning. When you think about, who got something to gain or benefit from India and Pakistan being at war. It only makes sense that India did, or it only makes sense that America did it. And that's no different with the riffraff and the beef between North Korea and South Korea. They're the same people, but they have beef. Them beefing does not benefit one or another. It don't benefit North Korea or South Korea. But who does benefit from it? America. Because now they can get military bases on the other side of the world, warships on the other side of the world, over there by Korea, by Russia, by China, which would be America's enemies. Same with the riffraff and the beef between China and Taiwan. Same people, but they have beef. And that doesn't benefit one or the other. But who does benefit from it is America. Because again, he can have military bases and so called allies that he takes advantage of and warships in them regions of the world. He give you a little bit of military aid and then he taking your resources and using you as a puppet. Same with Ukraine and Russia. They in the full blown, full scale war. The same people, which Ukraine is a former ally of Russia in the old Soviet Union. Same people, but they at war. Why? Because of America. Now that war between Russia and Ukraine don't benefit either side. It don't benefit Russia or Ukraine. They both taking losses, damages, but America does benefit from it. Why? Because America want to make Ukraine part of NATO so they can put military bases and missiles right next to Russia, which is their biggest enemy. Now, again, what would America benefit from India and Pakistan going to war? Pakistan, which is an ally of China, can probably drag China into the war with India to create destabilization within the BRICS alliance, to cause some riffraff between the BRICS members to break them up. But that's just how America works.
They didn't know about it. They didn't have it. According to the official statement from Pakistan, we did not do it. We did not know about it. Could this be a CIA operation, an MI6, a Five Eyes NATO operation to destabilize the region and get China and India in a shooting war so we wouldn't have to fight China? Things are happening, folks. We talked about this today. How it's only going to take one match.
And that's another benefit between the war between Ukraine and Russia. Not only do America want to put military bases next to Russia, they want to weaken Russia through a proxy war. And that will also be the case between a possible war between India and Pakistan, which may involve China, so that America can weaken China. Why? Because they want to take Taiwan. So it only makes sense. America really the only people who got something to benefit from all of these wars that's happening. So let's listen to his last few remarks.
Firecracker. One small explosion to ignite the whole world in war.
And that's why we're covering this. He said one small explosion to ignite a full war. Because this major news, Pakistan and India at war. Now, we're going to start with the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach. Um, 12 and 17. So this is the book of Sirach 12 and 17. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. So what's the adversity? Um, Wars, terrorist attacks. It says what? Thou shalt find him there first. Because who did the terrorist attack on 9/11? It wasn't Osama. It wasn't Afghanistan. Come to find out, it was America. Who blew up Nord Stream Pipeline 1 and 2? Come to find out, it was America. Pretty much any major terrorist attack that's taking place in the world, America was involved. When Russia got hit with them long range missiles for the first time, come to find out, they was American made missiles. The October 7th attack on Israel from Hamas, come to find out, America orchestrated that. So if adversity come upon thee, you can find Esau, Edom, the white man there first. More specifically, the American Edomite. Thou shalt find him there first. Why? Because he got something to gain from it. Other countries being at war, neighboring countries being at beef, he got something to gain from it. It's funny, these countries to be at war, then the first one to step on the scene is America bringing military aid to the mix. Because also what America got the gain is he can weaken all of his enemies through a proxy war. A proxy war is you don't fight your enemies directly, but your allies fight your enemies and you give them military aid, which is really a coward move. So again, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Yeah, but he's pretending to help you, but he's just pretending to help you so he can get what he want out the mix. Like, look what's happened to Ukraine. He pretended to help Ukraine, sent hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions, weapons, military aid, gear, equipment, weapons, soldiers. Now they don't want to send Ukraine no more money. Now they don't want to send them as many, weapons packages and stuff like that. And when they did talk about a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, America was trying to get their hands on Ukraine's natural resources. So now when we move on to the book of Proverbs 6:16, these 6 things doth the Lord hate. And that's why the Lord said, I hated Esau. Because these 6 things, which are an abomination to the Lord, Esau excels at all of them. A proud look, a lying tongue. America constantly lying all over the earth, and hands that shed innocent blood. For, in the case of this lesson, whose innocent blood was shed? Those 26 Hindu tourists. Why? So they can put the blame on a country, to possibly start a war to pretty much further America's agenda. A heart that divides of wicked imaginations. All these terrorist attacks and wars that's happening, America got everybody beefing with one another. Those are the wicked imaginations, wicked schemes that he come up with. Attacking the Twin Towers was a wicked imagination that he came up with to go into the Middle East. Going into Ukraine was a wicked imagination to weaken Russia. It says feet that be swift and running to mischief. So America quick to always pop up on the scene once he done started some mess. A false witness that speak of lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. That's what Esau the white man, in particular America, do all over the earth. They sow discord among brethren. Discord will be riffraff, tension, beef, problems, issues. So he start issues among brethren. North Korea, South Korea, they brothers. They're the same people. Esau the white man, America, is sowing discord or beef and tensions between South Korea and North Korea. Esau the white man, America, is sowing discord and hatred between China and Taiwan. They literally brethren. They're the same people. Esau the white man is sowing hatred and beef between Ukraine and Russia. They literally the same people. They doing it all over the world, and they doing it right here in America as well. So yeah, Esau the white man, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, wicked imaginations, feet that's quick to run to mischief, and he that sowed discord among brethren. That's why the scriptures say he was given power to take peace from the earth. Now, when we get this in the book of Jeremiah 3 and 2, it goes on to say, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. What's the valley of Jehoshaphat? That's out there in the east, what they would call the Middle East. And he will gather the nations in the Middle East for battle and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and part of my land. So the Lord would ultimately bring judgment on the nations through war. That would happen over there in the so-called Middle East. Now we're going to prove that this Jehoshaphat is dealing with the East, and we're going to prove that the nations are being gathered for war. Revelation 16 and 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up. We know the Euphrates River has, dried up. That the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. See that? To be prepared for what? To be brought into the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's the east, or the so-called Middle East. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Pretty much dealing with America and their allies. It says, for they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth. Remember, the kings of the east, Iran, Pakistan, India, Russia, China, the Koreas, that's out east, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the world to gather them to the battle of the great day of the Lord Almighty. So, see, the kings of the earth are being gathered for battle. They being gathered in the east, being gathered into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Again, they're being gathered for battle. So, it come as a surprise to me that India and Pakistan is at war, but it makes sense with prophecy. Prophecy said that's what would happen. War would begin to break out over there in the east, and that would be bringing the nations together for battle. This country cool with this country cool with this country, and with this country, but also cool with this country. That's how World War III is going to break out. So we know that the nations are being gathered for battle. So let's get this last one. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. So traditionally, when battles and wars were fought, they were bloody. Swords, shields, even them old revolvers, like in World War One, World War Two, the cannons. But it says, but this point toward the future. But this what? But this battle, the final battle, the battle that the Lord is preparing now by gathering the nations and the kings of the earth to the east. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. That's a nuclear war. Just so happened, India and Pakistan is at war, and those are nations that both possess nuclear weapons. I even seen another video. Matter of fact, I think I got it pulled up still. Let's check this out. Why are two nuclear powers on the brink of war? India Pakistan conflicts. Check this out.
Asian geopolitics for more than 7 decades. The struggle between India and Pakistan over the territory has led to multiple wars, and the area is now one of the most militarized in the world. India and Pakistan are once again on the brink of all-out war, but to understand the present tensions, you need to go back in time. Let's rewind to 1947. This is what the map looked like when Britain partitioned its former colony. Pakistan, with a Muslim majority, was created in the west, and India to the east with a mostly Hindu population. War quickly followed in October. The Hindu ruler of the Muslim majority Jammu and Kashmir originally sought to remain in.
This is what I'm looking for right here.
War. The main worry for the world and the region are the nuclear missiles aimed at each other. Pakistan has around 170 and India has 164. But even if the tensions are dialed down.
So Pakistan got 170 nuclear missiles. India got 164 nuclear missiles, which they both got way more than that. But that's why it says, but this final battle shall be with burning and fuel of fire. World War III is going to go nuclear on all sides. Ain't no reason at the same time America is stressed out about Iran getting nuclear missiles. At the same time, Russia has mobilized their nuclear forces. So this is going to go nuclear. So, quick review, the Lord will gather all nations into the valley of Jehoshaphat to the east. And what? The nations gathered them to the battle of the great day. So the nations are being gathered in the east for battle. And it says, this battle shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So they still shooting at each other right now. Battle tanks, fighter jets, killer drones. It's bloody in a sense. Well, eventually it's going to go full on nuclear. Burning and fuel of fire. So that's what's the end of all of this. So we really getting that much closer. Because all it take is one of these countries to make a certain move to get everybody else involved. And that's really how it's going to break out. That's what the scriptures say, the least of the flock shall draw them out. But yeah, man, we getting closer. So, Lord willing, that was informative. And till next time, Shalom.